Welcome to Audible Interlude, a G.I. Joe podcast. I'm your host, Dave West, codename Phantom Troublemaker.
I am your co-host, Noel Wood, codename Crapshoot.
And I'm your Cobra intern who lost on Jeopardy, baby. Codename Legion Cub.
Whew. You guys, we're by the skin of our teeth here, trying to figure out this gimmick that we're doing tonight, but we've got it worked out. I just, it's all about preparation, right? We know the what is it, the 18 Ps or whatever it is. Proper planning.
Just like I learned in the Boy Scouts, be prepared.
That's right. I think that's Cub Scouts. You're right. Boy Scouts. What is Cub Scouts?
Burn everything to the ground.
That's right. No, you know what I learned in Boy Scouts? Don't those saws that have like the handle and it swings out like almost like a giant switchblade, but it's like a saw. Don't try and close one of those like this. I witnessed a guy perforate his hand from like here to here, and he ended up going to the emergency room because he was trying to be cool closing one of those saws up. It didn't work out for him. So we've got a big, exciting, nice night tonight. Who is in the chat? I like how I put up "Give Us Money" as our banner, and nobody's commenting now. They're like, "Oh, I don't want to say anything." Then they'll know I'm here. No, they give us money is obviously a little tongue in cheek, but we ended the Patreon. We have not seen a dime from the super chat in, quite frankly, months. And you guys, I learned a little something over the weekend. So you know how if you own a domain name or you own like really a lot of things online that are a streaming service subscription, stuff like that, you'll get the email saying, hey, in 90 days, your whatever is going to renew. Hey, in 30 days, your whatever is going to renew. Guess who doesn't do that and just charges you renewal with no notification whatsoever? Oh, StreamYard. So wow. I got the big $240 StreamYard charge out of nowhere Saturday afternoon. And it would have been nice to have a little bit of a heads up. What is up? Scott Stripling, my one of my oldest friends in the world, is in the house, who I have gotten to see some very, very cool G.I. Joe art that I know he will share with the world someday, and I'm very excited for everybody else to see it. But one of my oldest pals, I'm glad you're here tonight, man. So yeah, hosting, StreamYard, everything costs money. So hit us up in the super chat. We may even have to involve tonight's gimmick with the super chat, like $1 gets you a pick. But then I have a feeling we're just going to be sitting here with a closed book the whole time. So maybe we won't do that. Let me pull my notes up. I was scrambling here prior to recording because we're doing something. Anybody who's familiar with the old Needless Things podcast knows that we did a few different live roundtable sessions of the greatest something of all time. And this involved a selection of panelists, and we would determine the greatest cartoon of all time, the greatest movie of all time. Thank you very much, Scott Stripling. We will get the first look at the finished piece. I'm very excited about that. Maybe we'll reveal it here on the show once we do. What the heck was I talking about, guys?
Greatest link of all time.
So I have used multiple cameras for StreamYard before. But in trying to get this one hooked up, for some reason, my secondary webcam, I could not turn the microphone off on it. No matter how many different turn off the microphone settings I went to. But we figured out an alternative, and we're going to make it work. As a matter of fact, here's a little sneaky peek of what we're going to be doing a little bit later in the show. Oh, look at that. The art of G.I. Joe. We will be playing a little Joe Roulette with that later on, so stick around for that. But before we get to that, obviously we've got some things to get through. You can follow us on Instagram at Audible Interlude Podcast. That is the best way to interact with us. You can shoot us a message. Days that we're doing live streams, we'll be putting up posts that say sound off. And we want you to sound off and let us know what you want us to talk about on the show. We will be covering that later on in the show after Joe Roulette. And wherever you listen to your podcasts, which, by the way, if you don't know, the audio version of this episode will be available this Friday. Next Friday, we will be back with day 2 of Operation Dragonfire in our ongoing reviews of the introduction to the Deke Real American Heroes series. And we'll have some other audio segments on that show. We've gotten kind of off track. The comic books have really taken up a lot of our review time, and I wish we could figure out a little different scheduling, but it is what it is, as they say.
Well, it does seem like, now, granted, they could just be waiting, but so far it does seem like once G.I. Joe #1 hits, that's the main or only book.
Yeah, I'm hoping we're going to get at least a couple of months where it's just the one title and we'll be able to kind of branch out a little more. All right. While you're at Audible Interlude Podcast on Instagram, check out our pinned stories and the links to our T-shirts. We have many more T-shirts than this currently available. Several designed by our partner Slickalicious. Also check out Shop Slickalicious on Instagram. But wait for a sale. Go to TeePublic and get yourself an Audible Interlude Podcast shirt. Show your support for the channel. They are available in many different sizes and colors and styles. You can get mugs and pillows and all kinds of other stuff with our beautiful artwork on them. So whether you're trying to impress a potential mate in your crib or just walking around your local haberdashery, do it in style with Audible Interlude. You're watching us live on the Needless Things YouTube channel, where I review all kinds of different toys. But alternating Mondays, we do live streams here with Audible Interlude. Our next live stream is October the 7th. And you know what that means. October. What is October, Kristian?
The 10th month.
Very good.
10th century.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Day.
Oh boy. No, we're going to be celebrating the number 10 all month long. No, it's the spooky season, you fools. So we're going to be attempting to come up with spooky themes for all of our October episodes. We'll see how successful we are. And also on the Needless Things YouTube channel, my review of the new retro cardback Cobra Trooper goes up tomorrow.
Can I tell you, I am kicking myself because, as our listeners know, I tend to, when I have a pile of loot, I'm like, I'm just going to wait a little bit longer because this will drop.
Oh, wait. I've got to interrupt you because look at Kevin Riddle in the super chat. He gave us money. Thank you so much, sir. We truly appreciate your support. That gives you 5 picks during Joe Roulette later on. Somebody mark that down with a pencil. Noel, do you have your golf pencil handy?
I do not have a golf pencil.
And Kevin Riddle says, "Here's a little something for all the great content." Thank you so much, Kevin Riddle.
But I have a phone with a notepad on it, so
there you go. That's what we need, because obviously I'm not capable of taking notes at all. So Kristian, you have once again been waiting for that.
Literally got down to 2 days. I had an item in my pile of loot that had been there 80 whatever days.
Oh my gosh!
And it was like, I have to ship this. The very next day,
every time,
the Cobra Troopers hit my pile of loot.
I have gotten to the point where if I'm waiting for something, because you look at your on Big Bad, you look at your pre-order list, and you can see the estimated arrival for the next item. And if something's getting close and I'm getting itchy and impatient, I'll go ahead and ship my pile of loot, and almost without fail, it comes in the next day.
I'm gonna have to try this trick more often.
They've
Then,
got a
'cause-
racket. So tomorrow, Tuesday, my review of the Retro Cobra Trooper goes up. Spoiler alert. I'll go ahead and say it. For me personally, this is the first complete and total dud of the classified series.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Worse than Blue Ninjas?
You will have to. Well, the first complete and total dud I've bought.
Oh, okay.
You will have to watch the review to find out why. Please like, subscribe, and share. And then on Wednesday, hopefully faring a little better in my... Oh, Jason's Electric. I pre-ordered 2 Cobra Troopers today. Jason's Electric, cancel them. I'm just kidding. Other people are probably going to like this thing more than I did. I had some problems. And then on Wednesday, this fella... Oh, look at that Stalker in his classic colors, all bright and shiny, ready to stand on the shelf with the rest of your not quite so bright and shiny Joes. I have some thoughts about Stalker as well, so tune in on Wednesday to see if he fared any better in my eyes than the Cobra Trooper. But I'm thrilled they're doing these retro card back releases. I hope they continue to go with more classic decos, more classic tooling. I'll tell you right now, my biggest problem with the Cobra Trooper is that they didn't basically just use the Stalker body and make it blue. Like, I really wish they had just done that. And just tampo a Cobra logo on the chest. It would have been, for me, that would have been perfect. D Griff, glad I reduced my pre-order of 6 down to 1. And see, that's what, before I even had it in hand, I really thought, because I had 4, because I like troop. When I am going to troop build, 4 is a nice number for me. But before it even arrived, I really thought about it. I realized nothing else on my shelves is that blue. What does it go with? What am I doing with it? So I canceled the other 3 pre-orders and just went with the one that was coming from Big Bad. And I was like, well, once I get it in hand, if I love it, I'll order some more. But I didn't want to commit to 4 when I wasn't totally sold on the figure. And once I got the figure in hand, I don't think I even need 1. Oh, fellas. So do you guys both have that on the way?
I got mine from Amazon, and they pushed the ship date back to, I think, November. Or maybe it's October.
Oh my gosh. Well, yeah, because Amazon moved a ton of ship dates. Actually, that reminds me, I need to pull up an email real quick.
So did Hasbro Pulse.
Yep. Yeah, Pulse and Amazon both moved.
Because I see people getting their cup Triple T in hand, and like I think Hasbro Pulse says it's shipping sometime in October.
Yeah, my Amazon Triple T got moved to September 30th, October 1st, which, granted, hard as it is to believe, is only a week away, so no big deal. And then, yeah, I think Pulse moved it to like late October, like October 23rd or something like that. All right. Well, I think it is officially time now to put away the tacky "give us money" banner, which again, is just tongue in cheek and funny, but also give us money. And move on to some news, some actual content for the peoples. Back over to notes. Here is a little, we don't normally deal too much in rumors here on the show. Oh my gosh. Comic Book Ben says I've got 30 Retro Troopers on the way and mostly prepaid for. Am I in trouble? So to be honest, no, because part of my issue was nothing else is that shade of blue. So
well, wait.
You've covered your base on that.
Wait.
You have 30?
Are you in trouble? Comic Book Ben, are you married?
Now wait, we don't do the grumpy spouse thing around here. Come on now. We do not perpetuate the grumpy spouse stereotype. Although 30 Retro Troopers is a lot. Comic Book Ben is not married, so is in the clear on that front. No, I think like I said, you've covered your base. You're going to have 30 of these troopers in the same color, so you've got like a whole regiment of, that blue Cobra. So that addresses that portion of my concern. I think you'll be fine. Well, Will R says, funny that Amazon would ship before Pulse. Well, and not really, though, because if you think about it, Pulse is usually the last one to ship. It's only recently, like in the past couple of months, that I've been getting stuff from Pulse before other places ship. Like that Stalker I got came from Pulse. Amazon and Big Bad are both still like late October or something, which, by the way, I need to cancel those. And then my Cobra Commander, also my retro cardback Cobra Commander, charged last night from Pulse, and the other ones are still October. So like Pulse, and Pulse also, a bunch of Marvel Legends came out first from Pulse. Like they're getting a little better.
I feel like Big Bad always ships first, unless I order the item from Big Bad and then it ships last. That just seems to be my experience.
Well, I've talked a lot. I've talked a lot about my luck with Big Bad, where I often, like, I got my Stinger weeks before most people did. And I do think part of it is because my pre-order trigger finger is pretty itchy. Like, I go to Big Bad and I'm refreshing the page, waiting for the thing to pop up. It's what I did with, even though I'd already ordered them, I just wanted to see when they went live. So the O-rings the other day, which we'll talk about in a second, I'm just sitting there waiting because I just want to see them. I just want to see them go live because it's exciting to me. So I like Big Bad. I'm not even kidding when I say I'm putting in my pre-order there within the first 3 seconds of the pre-order being available. And I do think they have a first come, first serve type of thing going on there. I don't think they know, hey, it's Dave from Needless Things, let's make sure he gets his thing first. I don't think that's the case at all.
Gets his needless thing first.
Yes, and they are all so needless. All right. Operation Monster Force. Here's some good. Oh wait, I didn't even get to the rumor, you guys. So we don't normally do like rumors here on the show, but there are some reliable sources on HissTank who have proven their knowledge and their insight time and time and time again. And I want to share this so everybody's ready for it. Now, I'm not. This is tricky because usually I like to credit sources on HissTank, but I don't know how prolific these individuals want to be. Like, they posted on HissTank, but it's not like they're sharing it on Instagram or anything. So I'm just going to say, if you're a HissTanker, you know who I'm talking about. If you're not, don't worry about it. But there is going to be a new Tiger Force figure available from Target this Friday as part of their fall collector geek out or whatever it is. And it is confirmed to the point that I believe it, that it is going to be a Tiger Force breaker. Now, I don't know if it is just breaker or if it is potentially breaker and a Tiger Force vehicle. It's the confirmation is that it's a figure that's already come out. It's a repaint. So it's not like Bazooka or something where they released the Tiger Force version first. So this is one that we already have or is already out. But it's hard for me to picture them releasing just breaker in a box. It seems weird. So what do we think potentially vehicle-wise breaker might come with? And my guess, as much as I don't want to say it, and as much as I know I'd buy it, a Tiger Force Trouble Bubble.
Oh dear Lord!
I don't.
What do you mean?
I don't think they do that. I don't think they do that because the
Look,
Trouble Bubble is just so. It's such a Cobra vehicle.
But so, I mean, that doesn't stop them.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I'm sitting here thinking, like, what other vehicles are there? Because they've already done
the Ram.
All
right.
Yeah.
So who is Breaker's Cobra counterpart?
Would it
go ahead and say it?
If it was a figure?
Look, this is pure speculation on my part. It very well could be Breaker. Maybe they've done like they did with Roadblock and loaded him with his gear, and then down the road we'll get that retro card back Breaker that will have all of Breaker's gear. Yes, Tiger Force is good, guys, but Tiger Force, potentially could be repainted Cobra vehicle. Like we don't know what the classified team. We don't know what they're capable of.
So Jason's Electric said Tiger Force is good, guys. No, yes, but if you look at the original toy line, a lot of the Tiger Force vehicles were Cobra vehicles.
Captured.
Right.
Yeah, captured Cobra vehicles.
The Tiger,
the Rattler
the Water
was
Moccasin
done
got
as
a repaint. The Rattler, the Ferret, like it's a thing. It's a thing.
And
Will
the
R
Stinger.
says
It's a
comes
Stinger
with a
technically
phone
because it's
booth.
not a Vamp. It's a Stinger.
Comes with a phone booth. That might get
Oh,
me to
you're
buy
right.
it.
Dude, what if it's the Tiger Sting with Breaker? I don't want to spend that much money right now, but boy, howdy would I. Woo.
How bizarre is it that the Tiger Sting was released without a figure in the original
was
line?
it? I wasn't even aware of that off the top of my head.
Yeah, it doesn't have a driver.
Jeff Butler says, what about a Tiger Force torpedo since he was using a catalog pick in the 80s? I would love that. And I would like to see, like, they could do something weird. Like somebody who Shipwreck was the initial speculation, and I'd love to see that. But I don't know. It is, like I said, these two sources on His Tank have been right every time. Yeah, exactly. They have been right every time. So based on their history, there's no doubt in my mind that there is a Tiger Force breaker coming. I just don't know in what form. And we'll find out Friday. It's only a few days away. All right. Whew. Exciting. Operation Monster Force. You want to talk about exciting? What's more exciting than finding out 200 and some odd dollars worth of figures you thought you were going to have to pay for in October aren't coming out until the second quarter of 2025. Yay! But this was always kind of an anomaly on Big Bad, though, because they had some of the later announced Operation Monster Force figures listed as arriving prior to the first wave, which never made any sense to me. So I felt like that was just a mislisting anyway. So as of right now, the Apophis Legion Counterterrorism Trooper, the Apophis Legion Undead Phantom Corps Trooper, Halloween Boy, Lieutenant Griffin, the Eraser, which is the Invisible Man one, the Donner Party, and Dr. Caligari, and the Sleepwalker Aerial Assault Trooper. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 figures have been moved from October or third quarter to second quarter of 2025. So that's your wallets can take a breath because they will not be assaulted with those 7 figures. Noel, do a little. You've got your phone sitting right there ready to take notes. Do a little math for us. What's 7 times $36.99? How much money are we spared to put towards Breaker and the Tiger Sting?
7 times $36.99 is $258.93.
So there you go. That's you can rest easy knowing that's not going to suddenly drop out of your bank account in October. I'm more than okay with that. All right, so now we got to talk about the big news from the last few days. Well, from last week, I guess it was. Finally, Super 7, without announcement, and I love that they do this, in stock, ready to ship, which, by the way, I have not yet gotten my shipping notice, which I'm a little disappointed about, but I guess Rudy's pretty busy this week because I'd be willing to bet this is some of the highest numbers Super 7's ever done, because the anticipation for these, whatever quibbles people might have about them, out of everything G.I. Joe, anticipation is very, very, very high for these Super 7 Reaction Plus figures. I'd be willing to bet they broke some records with the orders on these, especially with them actually being in stock and not pre-orders, which they are pre-order. You can pre-order from Big Bad right now, although I think they're still in stock from Super 7. But here they are, and people are finding them in Target. I am not finding them in Target because we live in the Atlanta area, and we either don't get anything or scalpers get to it before we do. Noel,
I have
have you been
seen
checking the
nothing but
targets?
retro. I've been to a couple targets, and all I've seen is one sad retro Duke on the peg at both locations,
Oh,
and that's
poor
it.
old retro Duke. The only thing I've seen at the ones I go to are the Red Jackal wave of reaction figures.
Oh, I haven't even
Well,
seen reaction.
and
No, I saw
and
one
Tripwire and
Snow
Roadblock.
Serpent.
I haven't seen
those
that
seem to be
wave of
gone.
retro anywhere.
I was
Yeah.
off today, and I visited 2 Targets and a Walmart, and the Targets both had retro beachheads, and then the Tripwire Roadblock 2-pack.
Every Target has those.
And then Walmart's had retro Dukes and Scarlets.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't seen much of anything. Like I said, I haven't even seen, what is it, the Eel, the Snow Serpent, and Beachhead. I haven't seen that wave in stores at all.
Yeah, neither.
And I've been hitting
Well,
up Target.
I saw the Snow Serpent. The Snow Serpent I mentioned was the Super 7 reaction Snow Serpent. I saw that sad little thing hanging on the peg at Target.
The most, look, and everybody knows I love Super 7. However, that Snow Serpent is literally the most boring G.I. Joe figure I've ever seen in my life.
Well, and really at this point, reaction is a lame duck with G.I. Joe, because once this got announced, everybody's like, oh, well, I'm not going to buy those anymore.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, let's talk about these a little bit, because believe it or not, this is the first time we've seen final production models of these figures. So what we're going to do here, obviously, here's the beautiful Super 7 packaging with the white trim, Real American Hero, everything you could possibly want out of a G.I. Joe card back. Absolutely gorgeous, which is why I ordered from Super 7, but I have not canceled my pre-order from Big Bad because I have a sickness and I might have to collect these mint on card. So here is, now this is just a render, but it shows everything that the back comes with, all the original parts, plus a nice little blaster there. Looks good. And then here is the actual production version of the bat. I love the gloss on the silver parts, or not the gloss, but just the metallic look of the silver parts. What do you guys think of this?
I can't wait to get it in my hand and feel it, because that's really the big thing. Is we got the Hasbro O-rings that came out.
Oh, the bourbon burns so bad.
My timing paid off. No, I want to see what the plastic feels like, because that was the disappointment with the Hasbro one, was that the plastic was a little different, and it had but this looks like it has the same gloss. We saw obviously the prototypes when we were at Joe Fest, and you could see it looked like it was a similar plastic to the 85 era Joes, which is what they're going for.
And that's
so I really wanted to see how they.
It's such an indicator. The gloss and the feel of the plastic are so critical, which is why Delta 17 is such a smash success, because they feel exactly right. Oh, Blitz, slow comment. I'd take a Tiger Cat. 100%. As much as I don't want any more classified vehicles, oh man, a Tiger Cat would be awesome.
It would be. I wouldn't know what I would do with it once again.
Jeff Butler makes a good point, and I don't understand where the confusion was about this, because this was cleared up pretty early on. The renders didn't look like it, but the figures have swivel arms. Indeed. And also, if anybody's wondering about the neck joints, they intentionally went with just swivel necks in order to avoid some of the problems involved with the rocker necks that were on the 85 and after Joe figures. They wanted to be uniform, and honestly, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, because it doesn't do much. It doesn't move enough up and down to make a difference, I don't think.
Right. Well, that's the thing is, if anything, I would want to be able to look up more, but all those Joes with that neck can do is look sad. Like that's
And
not
especially once it gets loose, and then they just hang around like this.
right.
The
They
whole
just
time.
droop all the time. It's like Kurt Cobain on your shelf.
I do notice that they did not paint the rivets on these, and I don't know if that's just a cost-cutting measure.
I mean, probably it doesn't. I'd like to say it doesn't bother me. How about I can overlook it? How about that? And it's
I
also
think for the bat, it makes sense.
well,
That works. Yeah.
Well, but they're all like that.
No, I get that. I'm
Yeah.
just saying, like,
Yeah.
it doesn't phase me at all for the bat.
And if you notice, both arms on the bat are swappable now, as opposed to the original figure where just the right hand could be swapped out. So that's a nice touch. Good improvement. All right, moving on to this Snake Eyes, which I'm sure we all have thoughts about.
And here you said that reaction Snow Trooper was the most boring.
I don't
figure.
think it's fair to call Blue Booty Snake Eyes boring. Boring, he is not.
I don't know. This is the only one in the wave, and it's not like my typical ninja thing. It goes back to that very first Snake Eyes and how I was as a kid, where I just look at it. It does nothing for me. Happy for everyone who loves it. Don't get me wrong.
I don't know that anyone loves it.
I
want to see it in person because I've seen it. It looks more gray here, but I've also seen other people's pictures where it looks a lot darker, like it's almost black.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see what it actually looks like in person.
The only thing I don't love is I wish the shoes were just the same color as the bodysuit instead of being blue.
Well, and I've seen the pictures where they're obviously pulling this color scheme from the comics, and yeah, the bands around his ankles should be blue, but the boots should still be like the same color as his body.
But I'm gonna buy it. Jeff Butler mentioned, since the blue bat was from the Marvel comic, I'll be curious how much they lean into the comic compared to Sunbow, which we know they will. Well, this wave is 2 comic book looks and 2 Sunbow looks. So, I mean, if they balance it out that way, I'll be absolutely fine with that. Scott Stripling says, that sword is ridiculous. It is, and I love it. Let's get one more look at the sword. Look at the sword. That's great. All right, next up, Cobra Commander, Sunbow Cobra Commander, which we have never had before because Hasbro's really wasn't that. And it just looks beautiful.
Yeah.
No, Jason's Electric. Yeah. No, these are 100% not from the original molds, and they were never intended to be. None of Super 7 stuff will be from the original molds. These are all newly sculpted figures for what can be treated as a completely separate line. Look, from the stirrups to the shape of the helmet to the gloves this is
the white belt.
This is the Cobra Commander I wanted when I was a kid. And also, look at the size of the Cobra logo. Nice and big on the chest, not undersized like it was on the Ultimate. That nice blue undershirt. It just looks fantastic. Although it does look like his faceplate is like bronze here, but that's just due to the background, I think, reflecting the orange. So super stoked about this one. Jeff Butler just throwing them out there and winning. As long as we get Sparks from Sunbow and Cool Breeze from the comic. Cool Breeze, you know what?
Those are both my MIAs that I've done.
Yeah. Sparks, is a must. They have to do Sparks. And then finally we have Sunbow Cover Girl, who proportionally looks absolutely great, and the face, look, that's 80s figure face. And it'll be interesting to see how her hair is done, because if you notice, her head is turned there. So it looks like the hair is either a little bit softer or they sculpted to allow for movement of the head.
I mean, for sure, it looks like they sculpted to allow for the movement because she's got that kind of
billows out here.
yeah,
like
it's not
to
really
allow,
a curl, but
But it
it
still
definitely
it
sticks out
still looks
past the
natural.
collar.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, these, if you ordered from Super 7, these should be shipping any day now. And if you pre-ordered from Big Bad, or euphemism, Scott Stripling, you distracted me. Here's hoping for a one-legged Billy. That's not a euphemism, I promise. Oh, you Entertainment Earth is what I was trying to say somehow. Everybody else is shipping in October. And I appreciate that Super 7 is kind of keeping a handle on who ships what when, because they should be first. And then we've got a surprise entry that was announced via email today, and that is, looks a lot to me like Tomax and Zaymot are going to be Big Bad exclusives that go up for pre-order on October 1st. And it's frustrating because I have to order two, because I have to have that. But we saw the packaging at Joe Fest, that it's the original packaging for the twins. I got to have it. I got to have one to keep mint on card, because it's some of the greatest toy packaging of all time.
And I've been dying for Crimson Guard, for leaders in their suits in an O-ring figure for 40 years.
Yeah. This is so exciting. I'm so happy to see Super 7 doing this. Degriff asked, where is her Wolverine? Well, if everybody buys two of every O-ring figure, one to keep mint on card and one to open up, Super 7 will, and buy 10 of every troop builder, like Noel's doing with the bats, Super 7 will get the message. I know. Super 7 will get the message that this line is red hot, and perhaps we'll inject some vehicles into the line. Although, actually, no, that's not true, though, because Brian Flynn told my ears with his own lips that they would not be doing things that had been done before, and a Sunbow Wolverine would basically just look like the Wolverine toy. So if Super 7 determines that vehicles are viable, I would expect only to see Sunbow specific things, like the Aspid. Isn't that the helicopter thing?
Yeah. Well, that was that wasn't Sunbow specific, but that was in the comics.
It was in the. Was it just the comics? I was thinking it was in Sunbow too. But yeah, I think you're right. It was.
Could you make it Sunbow specific if every vehicle comes with the action figure of a child who knows that G.I. Joe exists?
The kid that knows everything about G.I. Joe.
Yes.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I will be. My honest opinion is Super 7 will never get to the point where they feel like they can justify vehicles, because the expense for them and the low production numbers they do is just astronomical. I will say right now, I do not expect to see vehicles from Super 7. However,
no, though, because they sure did.
They did
made those trouble bubbles for.
Yeah, they made the trouble bubbles, and they did the little sled for.
Yeah, that was a
Snake
massive failure.
Well, but that's because it was that sled.
Because it was a sled,
well,
right?
And
but
people fear nuclear energy, so just call a spade.
I don't know. I will be surprised
if you give something that is like one of those must-have vehicles from the cartoon that we never got. I think you'll sell it.
I don't know. I'll be curious to see how because look, Trouble Bubble is going to come with a figure, whether it's an air infantry trooper, or a Televiper, or whatever they include with it. So the figure, $20. Trouble Bubble. How much is a Trouble Bubble? Is it going to be $50 to get a Super 7 Trouble Bubble? Like, how's that going to work?
Yeah, but okay, we know you hate weathering. But
Oh, I so do.
But if Super 7 said, we're going to sell you a Marvel comic style hiss with Baroness strapped across the front of it.
Does it have weathering?
Well, of course.
Well, you can turn that sideways, shine it up real nice, and stick it straight up. No, I don't want weathering. I don't care what's. If I want Baroness strapped to a hiss, I'll get some rubber bands, a Baroness, and a hiss, and make it happen. Weathering. Get out of here with that garbage. All right. I think we should probably move on to our next segment because I don't know how labor intensive this is going to be. Here we go.
We have a couple other real quick news things.
Oh, we do.
We do.
Oh, that's exciting. What have we got? Take it away.
Well, first off, this afternoon, we did get the release that Wrath of Cobra is coming out on September 26th.
Oh, that's good news. I didn't know that.
At least on Steam. The others
on Steam, yeah. So.
On Steam. But that is
it'll be available on PC.
Yeah, release date.
Okay.
Also G.I. Joe adjacent. Because it seems like with every Joe mini series, they were breaking new comic records, and Transformers number 13 pre-orders hit over 100,000 copies.
Gosh, that's
so
people
go
don't
skybound.
That's like almost 80s numbers,
right? For
Comics
a comic,
yeah.
When Destro broke records at what 80 something, I was trying to look up again today what Joe number 1 hit, and I couldn't find it in time. But you just like every single time they announce it, it's like, God, these are just numbers that Batman isn't selling
right
like that. So
right. That's incredible. Good stuff. Anything else?
Nope, that was all I had.
All right. Then it's time to move on to Joe Roulette. How Joe Roulette works. And our pal Kevin Riddle has already got 5 selections that we won't all do at the same time, but he definitely gets to kick us off. The chat, everybody here in the chat is going to have the opportunity to tell us. Now, if you want to be sure to get your pick in, hit us up in that super chat. $1 gets you 1 pick. But also, if you don't give us any money, we'll take your picks anyway. But we are going to head now to the mighty Bookocam, which maybe isn't quite as good a resolution as I would have liked. But, we do our best here. So this is
Don't
the
you mean resolute?
I do not. Resolution. So how this is going to work. This is the Art of G.I. Joe, one of the greatest books released in the history of books, by Robert Carson Metaxas, and it includes artwork from all of G.I. Joe, Real American Hero. It's insanity. If you're not familiar with this book, it is literally the greatest book that I've ever bought in my entire life. It's massive. I actually think I threw my neck out a little bit earlier, picking it up off the floor so I could put it on the table over here. What we are going to do, this book consists of 712 pages. We are going to let our chat pick a number. I am going to turn to that page in the Art of G.I. Joe, and we are going to discuss whatever is on that page. And if there are multiple things on the page, which is the case in a lot of these, we may pick one thing out. But whatever the case is, we're going to get to this. We're going to go to the page and talk about whatever pops up. So, Kevin Riddle, if you are still with us, what is your first page pick? Pick a number between 1 and 712, keeping in mind that the first few pages, the first last few pages are probably like filler type stuff. Oh, Kevin Riddle, page 74, his first pick. 74. I wonder what the significance is of that number. Let's go over to the Bookocam and find page 74. And you know what, guys? I did not check prior to this to see how easy it is to find the page numbers in this thing. So this might have been a terrible mistake. Oh my gosh, there are no page numbers in this stupid book.
Oh.
Damn you, Carson.
Curse you, G.I. Joe!
Living up to your villainous James Bondian name. Oh wait, wait. That's page 60. That's page 60. They are numbered. Pardon my jostling of the camera. All right, so it's just the left side is numbered. So here we go, page 74. Let's find it and see what we get. That is page 88, page 82, page 78, 76. So page 74. Boy, this is believe it or not, something we've already talked about before. Let's see. Let's do a little. Can we zoom in a little bit on something and maybe pick one item out here? Have we talked a lot about the gliders?
We've mentioned them many times, but
have we? I mean, have we really gotten in depth as to what hideous pieces of junk they really were? Do you guys want to talk about the gliders, or do you want to talk about? Let's see. Let's talk about the gliders. Let's keep it easy.
All right.
G.I. Joe.
These don't exist anymore on our planet because they've disintegrated into the ground and killed many people with all their toxic foam poisoning.
Yeah, I wonder. So here's an. D Griff is telling us where to go, but we're not. No, I would like to talk about To the Rescue, but we're going to stick with the gliders for now. So this is the G.I. Joe Falcon and the Cobra Viper. I know I had the Falcon when I was a kid, and I had the Cobra Viper pilot figure that I believe I got from a friend of mine, which I still have, or not still have. I have reacquired a Cobra Viper pilot figure, whose emblem is barely even still visible on his chest, but it's a little bit there.
Well, and once it rubs off, you can't tell the difference between him and the regular officer.
So the Falcon, I tried to fly one time and it just did the saddest donk right into the ground. Did you guys have these?
No, but my best childhood friend had the Falcon, and I can very distinctly remember us being at our babysitter's apartment, and he would not let you put the Joe figure on it because it would not fly otherwise. And it barely flew as it was.
So, but it did fly without the Joe figure? Because I don't think I ever even
flew
tried
like
that.
a paper airplane, you know.
Well, that's better than the wet turd that it flew like when you put the figure on it. Actually, it didn't fly as well as a wet turd, because I've seen monkeys at zoos throw wet turds, and they can get some distance. This thing does not fly as well as a wet turd.
No, and I remember it did not last very long. It wasn't that the body broke first, but the little attachment,
the fins, the stabilizer
on
fins
the side
would absolutely break off.
Yeah.
So I wonder how many of these did, as Noel kind of suggested, how many of these did get lit on fire and then thrown, spewing toxic styrofoam fumes along the way? Because think about how many 80s Joes suffered incendiary deaths, whether by firecracker or whatever else.
Yeah.
So the gliders, nice idea, poor execution. I still would like to see some form of successful G.I. Joe gliders.
Well, I mean,
there
they
is a
did
complete
those
83
later ones.
the Air Commandos ones.
Oh
Right.
yeah. Do those work?
But
Do we
even
know
those
that?
look like crap.
Yeah,
I mean,
Well, yeah, but if they
we
work,
never
at
had
least.
them.
Yeah,
but
those.
Now see, I might end up looking for a
These.
Air Commando at this coming weekend. Jeff Butler says the Air Commandos
there's a complete Viper glider.
Air Commandos were terrific, flew great with figures. See, now I want an Air Commando. And some Sky Patrol. I want some weird stuff. Like, I want to go to Joe Lanta this weekend and buy some weird stuff.
I can give you a list.
Send me a list. I'll look for stuff for you. All right. Next up, somebody in the chat. Reverend Scott Stripling, give us a random number. You've been here all night. You've been contributing to the conversation. Give us a random number. And while we're waiting for Scott to throw something out there, anybody else in the chat who wants to throw us a number for Joe Roulette, throw it out there, and we'll go to the Bookocam and choose another page. Any old number between 1 and 712. 575 from Brian Fabin. All right, hang on. Let me get my camera zoomed back up here. 575. Woo, we're getting deep. Deep. What? I'll tell you what. Noel and Kristian, while I'm flipping, guess what year 575 is going to put us in?
Ooh. 1992.
Okay. Kristian?
Okay, I'm gonna go with 96.
I don't think this goes to 96.
Darn it!
This
But,
okay.
I like your enthusiasm.
Then I'll go 89.
This puts us in 1991, and we are going to be talking about video games, computer entertainment. Featuring...
What is this dance pose that Snake Eyes is doing?
Right?
Hang on, let me see if I can get the full... yeah. So, what we're looking at here...
Yeah!
What we're
Like,
looking at
why
here...
now do I need Dance Dance Revolution, the G.I. Joe edition?
So this is the cover of Video Games and Entertainment from July of 1991 from LFP Inc. Let's do a little zoom in here. I'm going to make this easier on everybody. So there is our cover story, which features Play Ball 1991 Baseball Software Roundup. The 1991, not much was happening in 1991, let's be honest. But the feature here is, of course, the G.I. Joe, look at that, maps for the G.I. Joe NES game. This was always one of my favorite features of Nintendo Power, when they would give you the level map. Like, it was always exciting.
How I beat the Legend of Zelda.
Right. It was always exciting to see the full level, like, laid out like that. What it looked like as a whole. So have we determined? Have any of us ever actually played this game?
I have not.
I don't think I have.
I feel like I must have, because one of my first retail jobs was a place called Video Game Exchange in Stone Mountain, Georgia. And literally part of the job description was play every game in the store so you can talk about every game in the store. And I know I had to have played it, but I just don't have any memories of playing this game.
Well, it looks like Will R does have memories because he
Ooh.
says good NES game, BTW. So did you actually play it, Will, or have you? Is it like
Word of
watching
mouth.
playthroughs on YouTube?
Oh, that's right. Scott actually did work there for like a week for me. I hired him, and it was just too much pressure. Jeff Butler says that particular magazine is tough to get as it's rare and expensive now. Interesting. And Jeff Butler also has that game nearly memorized. Bought it when it was new, and thankfully still have it with the manual in the box. That's
Wow.
beautiful. But do you have the sleeve? All right. Moving along, we've got that was Brian Fabin's pick. Jeff Butler's pick is 678. So let's go to page 678. All right, gentlemen, do you want to guess where 678 is going to take us? What year?
That's got to be 94. That's right at the end.
Yeah, it's got to be close to the end, right? Oh, right to it. Look at that. 678. Ooh. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Some ninjas, of course. Oh, and we've talked about these on the show before as well. And you know what? Though, since we're here again, I'm going to commit to it. I'm going to commit to it this time. Whether I can get a mint on card or if I have to get some loosies, I am going to buy some Shadow Ninjas at Joe Lanta if they have them available. I will commit right now to Noel. And well, Noel, you'll be at Joe Lanta, right?
Well, probably on Friday night.
That's when I'm thinking about going, because like go Friday, get it done, because I don't feel like I'm going to need to spend more than a few hours there, right? Yeah, so are you definitely going Friday night, you think?
Depends on what time I got to work.
Or it's not.
Yeah, depends on what time I got to work.
Oh, okay. We'll stay in touch about that, because that's seriously, that's when I was thinking about going. So yeah, I'm committing to Noel and Kristian and everybody here in the chat. I will buy at least a Shadow Ninja. I would like to get one mint on card to open up for a review, but if I have to get it loose, I'll get it loose. But I will do that this weekend, Shadow Ninjas. Now, did you guys have anything that's on this page? This is past all. Well, no, Kristian, did your brother have any of these?
No, he like the first waves of like Ninja Force figures that had like the battle actions and stuff. He had all of those, but Shadow Ninjas, nope.
Okay. Yeah, I'm in on these. I definitely want one. And it's funny because every time I see him, I'm kind of like, it's not as cool as it looks in pictures, but I'm not going to let that get to me this time because I really want to review one of these. All right. Good pick. I like a good revisit from time to time. All right, what do we got? Scott Stripling picked 32. All right, fellas.
Ooh.
What year do you think 32 is going to end up being? And anybody else in the chat, if you want to throw, well, Kevin Riddle, you've got 4 more picks, so start throwing them out there. But anybody else in the chat that wants to make a pick for Joe Roulette, go for it. Numbers are 1 through 712.
That's got to be 82, right?
Or
I would think so. 82 is one of the most expansive sections of the whole book, so it's got to be.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. I want everybody to appreciate the risk I'm taking here of like tearing these pages as I frantically move through this massive tome. All right, we're getting there. There's 40, 36, 32. Oh, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about the SMS, the classified version, but I don't think we've ever really discussed, and obviously later on in Instruments of Destruction, we may do a deeper dive on the MMS. But Noel, when you were a kid, did you have an MMS?
Nope.
I'm
I acquired my first one just like a few years back.
Okay, same for me. And that's why Hawk, for me, was never really an entity in my play until 1986.
Mm-hmm.
I always liked my friend Peyton, who I've mentioned before on the show, who was my G.I. Joe buddy, who had, like, I like to say I had pretty much everything, but there were some things like this that I never got. Peyton had everything. I would say from 82 to 85, because he was a couple years older than me, so he got out of Joe before I did. But I would say 82 to 85, he had literally everything. He even had the Crimson, was it the Sears set?
The CAT Crimson Assault Team.
Yes.
Or, yeah.
And he had, I don't know if he had all of the Dreadnought Assault stuff.
Oh, man.
Wow. Yeah, I know. But he had the MMS, and he would always tell me that Hawk was the leader of the Joes, and I just didn't buy into that. And I don't know at what point I got into the comics. And to be honest, I don't know that he was telling me Hawk was the leader of the Joes. He might have been saying, this guy is the leader of the Joes. Like, I'm trying to remember. I mean, I'm like 7, 8 years old at the time, so who knows what the conversations were. But I do have a recollection of me just not believing that this generic blonde dude was the Joe leader, because as I've said before, Clutch, who drove the Vamp, which was the coolest vehicle for a couple of years, obviously he's the guy driving the car. He's the one leading the team into battle. Like, that was my mentality.
I had no idea that Hawk was the leader until I started reading the comics, and that wasn't until 85, maybe?
Yeah,
84,
I don't remember exactly when I got into the comics, like, regularly. And actually, I think when I did my reread last year, like, one issue hit me as the one that I, like, really remembered, and I don't remember what issue it was. But yeah, certainly the first couple of years I was playing with G.I. Joe, no acknowledgement of Hawk as the leader whatsoever, because I didn't have this. But as far as the vehicle or the weapon, I guess, itself, awesome weapon. I don't know exactly what they're shooting out of the sky at this point, because Cobra has no aerial vehicles.
Air Force. Well, you know, they had those MiG style jets that they flew around in the cartoon and in the comics the first year. That would be something that Super 7 could explore.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, MMS, classic G.I. Joe, and I will say this, as much as I skipped the SMS, when they release the MMS, I will probably be compelled to buy that. All right, next up, Comic Book Bin with 126. Fellas, what year do you suspect 126 to be in?
85.
Okay, Kristian says 85. Noel says 84. Ooh, it's going to be close. Oh, that's 128. 126. Oh, it is 84. And we have another catalog page. Interesting.
Got some good stuff there.
Yeah, it's a catalog page I don't believe we've looked at before. What do you guys want to talk about?
I don't feel like we've ever talked about the Rattler before. I'm kidding. Or the Whale.
Yeah, the Whale's definitely an overlooked item for us.
Let's see. Slugger was my first Instruments of Destruction, I believe.
Yeah, we've talked about the Slugger for sure.
Well, I want to point out the Zartan artwork up at the top of the page.
All right, hang on. Let me dismount. All right, let's talk about the Zartan artwork. Good choice.
Because as a fan of a lot of the weirder G.I. Joe stuff, that minus the eye makeup is the artwork that they use on for the Fun School Zartan. And I did not realize that there was actually American release art of it. Because with the Fun School, when it amuses me to no end that his mask is just floating behind him,
floating on
like
his shoulder.
Disembodied voice that tells him to do things.
Yeah, I just remember that picture from this catalog. I don't think it was used in the box art at all.
Way creepier. And Zartan's a little bit of a creepy dude anyway. But my gosh, that mask floating over his shoulder is super weird.
Also, he's got a very pointy cowl.
He does.
Yeah.
It's like a little cornucopia on his head.
It's not going to give me that much close up. So there you go. Excellent choice. Something weird and something different. All right, let me get back to the chat over here and see what we've got.
Kevin Riddle gave us page 102.
Is that the next number?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, 102. Where are we now? Okay, so this is probably going to be 83, maybe. Or not. Still 84. And might be 106, 104, 102. Ooh. Interlude. G.I. Joe invades popular culture. With a beachhead firmly established in toy departments across America, it was time for G.I. Joe to launch a multi-front invasion of mid-1980s popular culture. By 1984 to 1985, G.I. Joe was a top-selling Marvel comic book. Its 2 animated TV miniseries were so popular that G.I. Joe was launched into daily syndication in over 150 TV markets nationwide. G.I. Joe's popularity was set to reach unprecedented heights. G.I. Joe's marketing team was busy providing direction and improving figure and vehicle designs. The ranks of marketing's G.I. Joe Mobile Strike Force Team fan club swelled to include over 200,000 members.
Wow.
That is...
Were you a member of the fan club?
Bonkers. I was not, but Peyton was. And he got all these really cool little books that would tell you tips of how to play with your Joes. It was one of those little books that he got suggested using a Sharpie to color in details on your G.I. Joe figures that were not painted.
I remember you telling us about that before.
Yeah.
Which is horrifying to me at this point in my life. But at the time, it seemed like a really cool idea.
Well, I've shown you the ones that my friend Doug sent me, like his childhood collection, where he used Sharpies and paint and Sculpey to put berets on guys that didn't have berets and things like that.
Oh my
he
gosh,
got real creative with his.
Insane.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not going to read that whole entire thing, but that is some pretty cool artwork on that page as well. Something a little different and unique looking. All right, Kevin Riddle's...
I don't know why I never joined any of these fan clubs that were available when I was a kid, because all the toy lines had fan clubs, and I just never joined them. But
no, I didn't either.
And I always felt like it was so exclusive, and I could have just done it.
There was probably a check involved, and while my parents were pretty good about doing the mail-aways, I think maybe fan club was a different kind of thing for some reason. I don't know why, because I feel like the fan club was $2.99 a year or something like that. I don't know. We'd have to look it up. All right, Kevin Riddle's pick number 3, page 275. Here we go. 275.
We should put a Craigslist ad out there looking for anyone that was a member of the G.I. Joe fan club back in the 80s.
Did you say Craigslist?
Yes.
Does that still exist?
It does. There's a podcast that I listened to, and the gentleman put an ad out wanting to interview professional shoplifters. And he did. So that tells me that Craigslist still works for some reason.
One gently used fern available on my porch right now. So we have a run of unnumbered pages here, so I'm going to have to count backwards. We have got 278, so that makes this 276, and that makes this 275. And holy cow, look at the Rolling Thunder presentation art by Guy Cassidy. I do not have a Rolling Thunder. It's interesting to note that it's in that desert colors.
Mm-hmm.
I just love this kind. This is why, and by the way, you can go to 3djoes.com right now and buy this book for yourself. I think it's also available on Amazon, right?
And Big Bad.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And Big Bad with $4 shipping, which, by the way, use that $4 shipping because, my gosh, this thing's going to cost you $187 just to ship. So, yeah, Rolling Thunder internal presentation art. Pretty awesome. Not much to say about it, but cool thing to share from the book and little motivation of this is the kind of stuff that's in here. All right. Kevin Rule pick number 4 is 500. And
nice,
I'm going to cut off
round number.
I'm going to cut off at D Griff's 261 because we got to move on to sound offs after that. So let's get to 500. And as I'm flipping through, like, again, if you don't have this book, you can see exactly how phenomenal it is. Everything is in here. 500. Another interlude. Not an audible interlude, though. I am not going to read this entire selection, but we will, since it bleeds over onto 500, we will take a look at this incredible artwork.
That's insane.
That is the reason I decided I had to have. Oh gosh, is this the Hurricane?
No, that's the Hammerhead.
Hammerhead. I knew it began with an H.
Hurricane's the VTOL.
I don't know this latter-day stuff. Oh,
like,
and
look at the fins on the front. It's shaped like a hammerhead.
Clearly a hammerhead. You're right. Well, it's got the little eyeballs up there too, and the Retaliator.
My favorite thing in this picture is that they're in this big battle, and Bullhorn is just yelling through his megaphone.
Thank you. That is what I was going to point out.
Hey, Joes, shoot the bad guys. That's what he's saying. Look at, is that Undertow? Undertow getting ready to put that spear right through this colorfully dressed. This gentleman is dressed like an elf. Look at his blue toga, his yellow pants, and his green boots. I'm not sure who that is. Is that
Cyclone from Masters of the Universe?
Yes, I think you're right.
Crotching over?
I think that's exactly who it is. The only thing that I've always said, the only thing that would make Cyclone better is a bazooka. I also like all of this gunfire just clearly going right through these guys, but they're fine. This is perhaps not some of the finest artwork we've ever seen from G.I. Joe, but it is very exciting. All right. What is up next? Kevin Riddle's final pick, page 345. 345. Here we go. Oh, man, we missed some good. We'll have to do this again, although I'll have to dip back into the chat and figure out which numbers we used. Oh, yes. Psych Out. Some beautiful just card art with no logos or anything on top of it of Psych Out with his completely bonkers design. This is his stereo unit that blasts Slayer at the enemies. Isn't that a thing the military did?
Yeah.
And then those little satellite dish wristbands. Have you guys ever seen a Psych Out cosplay? I'm sure it's been done.
I have seen one, a somewhat hastily put together one, but I loved it.
Okay, that was going to be my question. Like, but was it good?
When we decided to do Tiger Force many years ago at Joe Con,
Okay.
and then we found out that we couldn't have weapons, and so we had pet tigers instead as our little pistols, and even my friend Sarah did Big Brawler, and she put a minigun inside of a tiger's mouth, and it was great.
That's
but
tremendous.
I really wanted to do this character. I wanted to do the Tiger Force version of Psych Out, but I figured it was going to take way too much. Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
He was one of the UK ones, I believe.
You can make fun of him, and you know, younger me, this is a figure that I would have despised. Like,
see, I loved Psych Out.
This is stupid. Why? But me now appreciates the kind of over the topness of it. But he had multiple figures.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
He was popular, at least with the designers.
I
had the Sonic Fighters one as well.
Well, that makes more sense. Looking back, I don't know if I really even understood what Psych Out was supposed to be, but I just thought it was a really cool figure. Okay, so that
I just didn't understand his haircut.
That's what you didn't understand.
That's a classic 1987 butt cut. What are you talking about? Dude, the butt cut was all the rage in 87. All right, final selection for Joe Roulette. D. Griff coming in with a 261. Let's hope this isn't like an all text page. Let's hope we can finish big. What year do you guys think 261 is in? Oh, we're getting close.
86.
Woo, look at that. Beautiful. Oh boy, here we go. 261. Look at the Cobra emblem on Cobra Commander's glove. All right, 261. Oh, meet Starduster. How timely is that? Okay, so we've talked a little bit about Starduster. Obviously, the Starduster figure for Classified is shipping. I think in November was the PulseCon exclusive. That for some reason, unlike Marvel's Kang figure, which by the way, the review for that goes up next week on the Needless Things YouTube channel. So Starduster, I think, Noel, you might have been the first person to even explain to me what Starduster was or why it was a thing, because I had zero awareness of this figure or character. So talk a little bit about Starduster.
I knew it because I was a big time consumer of G.I. Joe Action Stars cereal. I would eat it almost daily for a while. I somehow managed to talk my parents into buying it, even though I didn't usually get the sugary stuff. But I never mailed in for it, even though I had plenty of the points to do so. But I just never got around to it. But I acquired one secondhand about 12 years ago at a little geek garage sale when I bought someone's entire childhood G.I. Joe collection for $10 that I almost walked away from. I was like, I'm not collecting that right now. But he talked me into it. He's like, come on, it's $10. I was like, all right, fine. And thankfully I did, because I got a lot of cool stuff out of that. But yeah, I've got a little Starduster on my shelf. He's only missing his original grenade launcher, which I just put one of Gung Ho's on there because it's the same one, it's just a different color.
So if you weren't collecting Joe at the time, did that sort of kick off your current vintage collection a little bit?
No, I didn't get my
you
vintage
just got him and that was it?
Yeah, well, I got all that stuff, and I was like, I'll look through some of this stuff, and see what I want to do with it. And I just kind of put it in a bin and put it in my closet, and said maybe I'll dig that out again later.
Interesting that didn't give you the itch, but I totally understand, because there were a couple of times while I was collecting 25th anniversary stuff where I had the opportunity to get some original Joes, and I just wasn't interested because I was so sold on 25th anniversary at the time.
Well, I was in that 1,100 square foot house in Eastlake that you went to,
Yeah.
which was already, pretty much packed to the gills with as much toy display as it possibly could. So yeah, there was no way that I was going to be able to get those and put them out anywhere.
Well, that is the end of Joe Roulette. I think this has been fun. I will get our better camera working next time. I've just got to figure out how to turn the mic off. But yeah, that was pretty fun. I enjoyed that. I'm gonna have to get into the chat and whoop, that's not what I meant to do. I'm gonna have to get into the chat and make a note of which numbers were selected so we can eliminate them from next time. But yeah, that was cool. I enjoyed that. Good call, me. All right, guys.
So humble.
Well, I have great ideas. What am I going to do? Now it is time where we go to you, the Audible Army, for what we're going to talk about in a segment called Sound Off. And as always, here's our favorite Destro with a banana picture.
Get that
our
potassium.
Out of the many Destro with a banana pictures that are out there, I guess. All right.
Yes, Blitz 0065, Eastlake, Atlanta.
First up, Silent Interlude. So, my Super 7 O-rings have been ordered and should come this week, and the Triple T Cup is supposed to come today. You lucky devil. Big week for me. Since the Optimus Prime Mobat has been announced as the next Transformers crossover, we should be due for a Decepticon after. They did a Starscream Deco Sky Striker a while back, but a Starscream Night Raven would be awesome. Now, we did have to clarify something here because I commented back. I don't believe they have announced the Optimus Prime Mobat. I think it's one of those things that we sort of know about, but it has not been announced yet.
Yeah, I did.
There was apparently a list. Yeah, someone apparently saw it in a listing back in December of last year. And that's where the rumor started. But the Cup was also, I think, may have been in that same listing at the same time.
I think we can count the Optimus Prime Mobat as all but confirmed. But that is not the point of this sound off. The point is, what should the next one, which would hopefully be a Decepticon, because that's 2 Autobots in a row, if that's the case, what should the next Decepticon be? And I love the idea of a Starscream Sky Striker, although I don't love the price point that it probably would bring in.
Or the size. Like, that thing would be enormous transformed.
Well, I mean, it'd be... Well, you're right. Yeah, it would not scale with the other crossovers
twice as tall.
Yeah, you're right.
Could you... And this would be... so evil of them. I would love it. Could you do a Python Patrol Shark and make Starscream a Python Patrol Starscream? Because the Shark would be in the same size as
the other
Thunder
ones,
Machine.
The Striker and the...
You could maybe do the Conquest might be small enough to do if you did the Python Conquest, but
it would still
that's the problem is that all the good vehicles, all the good vehicles for Starscream are Joe vehicles.
What about a Stellar Stiletto?
No. Just no.
No? That's it? Just no? Wow. Because that's not too far off from the Cybertronian form.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they're going for a little bit more iconic on the.
Well, yeah, you're
vehicles
right.
here.
Yeah. You're right. You're right. So, given that, here's what I came up with. What about Swindle as a stinger?
That
Now,
would
I know
work.
Swindle is not exactly a big name, but okay, you guys can tell me if I'm wrong. I feel like I remember Swindle having a relatively big role in the cartoon at one point.
He had
But also,
at least one signature episode.
but during the
Showcasing.
IDW run, Swindle became kind of his own
Oh my gosh, I love
character.
this. Jeff Butler says Soundwave surveillance port.
I love that, but they already did.
Yeah, Soundwave.
But,
Yeah.
Oh,
okay,
right. We've
so
already got a Soundwave.
flip
Yeah,
it
yeah.
then and give a Shockwave.
Well, and that's,
as
I was
the
thinking about,
surveillance
like, what
port.
about Shockwave as like a Flack or a Hal? But those are Joe, so that doesn't really work. But and even a Cobra themed Flack or Hal, again, that goes back to Noel's point of like they're looking for things that are a little more iconic than
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of what would really work. Because that's the problem with the Decepticons is that there are fewer of them as far as characters go, and also
Right.
Could you
what
do
vehicles fit.
Well, but okay, we have to consider this though. Cup, not exactly a high profile character. I mean, yes, he was in the movie,
Yeah.
but when you compare him to Optimus Prime and Bumblebee, like Cup is kind
Or
of
that's why
Megatron
I'm
and
wondering,
Soundwave.
could you do Scourge as a water moccasin?
Oh, I see your logic there, and I don't dislike it. Although, having said that, then what about Cyclonus as back to the Stellar Stiletto?
How about a Sharkticon shark? No,
I love that, but right, yeah, that's nonsense. But I love it. I do like the shark though, because you're right, the size is right for that. But I just
and that's the other thing too with the Sky. When I heard the Sky Striker is such a thin vehicle. It would be really, really hard to engineer that to be a robot. The shark you could do. I think the shark is probably.
Dude, we said the same thing about the Awe-Striker. I was completely incapable of envisioning the Awe-Striker turning into a robot.
Yeah.
And they did it. I don't know. It's a tough call. In the chat, who else? Tell us in the chat. Oh, Megatron could transform into General Hawk's pistol. Absolutely not going to happen. I will tell you that right now. In America, we will not be seeing any Transformers that turn into pistols. I don't know. This is kind of a tough call.
Mm-hmm.
Ratchet Vamp, Swoop as a Claw. Claw is definitely not big enough. I mean, if Claw was going to be anything, it'd be like Frenzy or Rumble. Or no, what if a Claw turned into like Rat Bat?
Yeah.
Lord, I mean, just Laserbeak, that'd be easy enough.
Yeah.
Something that's a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, the Vamp, I feel like the Vamp is a really easy one to do, and there's a lot of characters that don't 100% go with it, but I think you do Hound. You do Hound if you're going to do the Vamp.
This is a tough one because iconic Decepticons with iconic Cobra vehicles is honestly a tougher call than you'd think it would be. Tom Henry has a serious Fang fixation, as we are going to discover again very, very soon. Unfortunately, Springer is an Autobot, so he could not be a Fang. Oh yeah, absolutely. Could a Decepticon be a Firebat? Yeah, Firebat could be an interesting call, and of course, yeah, you're right.
You could just do the Silver Firebat and do it as Starscream because there was a Silver Firebat.
Starscream Firebat. Brian Fabian getting absolutely ridiculous with Fortress Maximus as G.I. Joe headquarters. While I love it, woo.
But if you wanted to do a HasLab.
All right, let's move along. Next up, American Community says, "Can I share it?" Ellipse.
Yes, you can.
Ellipse. Yes, you
We're
can.
A family show.
Yes, everyone, please share it. All right. Whoop, wrong way. Tom.Henry. Which Joe is most likely to listen to ska music? Which is most likely to listen to goth or emo? And do you think the Fangs had radios that they blasted to get the Cobras pumped for battle? All right. To address the first question here, because Tom.Henry got a 3-1, and that's okay. Tom.Henry, as a matter of fact, not only is there a Joe that listens to ska, but it's a little known fact that the nerdiest Joes on the team actually have a ska band called Scotamatic Weapon. It features dial tone on trumpet, mainframe on guitar, lifeline on saxophone, airtight on the bass, sci-fi on the theremin, and borrowing from the Cold Slither episode, they talked Shipwreck into playing drums and Breaker into playing keyboards, and naturally Colonel Courage on vocals.
The fact that you put a theremin
of course, I put a theremin in.
That's
Fishbone had a theremin.
Angelo Moore all over that theremin.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is the G.I. Joe ska band, Scotamatic Weapon. As to which G.I. Joe listens to emo, obviously it's Snake Eyes.
Oh, okay.
What about? Did you guys have any?
So we know, first of all, that Doc likes to sing about the bus rider. So he likes reggae, which means he probably also likes ska. But there is not a Joe, but there is a character who hails from Bridgeport, Jamaica, and that is Gristle of the Headhunters. So I'll bet you he likes sitting on the beach and listening to some good old like 1960s first wave ska.
He likes traditional ska. The Scotamatic Weapon is totally like third wave.
Yeah. And then for goth or emo, it's got to be Low Light.
Oh, sure. Yeah, good call.
Yeah, I had Chuckles for ska, and he likes it unironically. And for the goth or emo, I was going with Low Light or Sci-Fi.
Sci-Fi, he's a nerd.
Just because he never takes, his outfit off. So he's just underneath that helmet. Nobody loves me.
But what about Psych Out as the goth emo guy? Because he's into all the psychological darkness, and he's probably really like tortured.
Not true.
Good questions, Tom.Henry. And of course, Fangs had radios that they blasted to get the Cobras pumped for battle. No, much like the Jeddah City, the Fang is the lowest level of Cobra vehicle and does not come equipped with a radio. All right. Talking Joe Comics. Kristian.
This one amused me.
Kristian, I would like you to handle this one.
Here's the thing. You sign off every episode saying that Kristian can be found on Instagram under the codename Legion Cub. I can attest to the fact that he cannot. Yes. Witness Protection Program. He can be found under the name @Legion Cub, all one word. If you are not yet following and search for codename Legion Cub, you get nada. Not exactly for sure who nada is.
They live.
It's Roddy Piper. Yeah, Roddy Piper.
Everything ties back into G.I. Joe.
Right.
And I would like to point out that Talking Joe Comics did correct the "nit yet," and we had a conversation about how annoying it is that you can't edit your comments on Instagram.
That is true, but when I read this initially, when I hit the "nit," I had to go back and reread the whole thing in a Scottish accent for some reason, and it made me like this even more. Even though there's no question in there. But yes, when I changed just the handle to codename Legion Cub, my goal was before Dragon Con to change all of the emails associated so that I could have Strictly Joe Instagram, Strictly Cosplay Instagram, and then all other toys. And that still has not happened.
Well, that's okay. We're all busy.
But you can find me
Oh,
wherever you listen to your favorite podcast.
that's right. Audible Interlude every week, whether it's a live stream here on the Needless Things YouTube channel or Audible Interlude audio segments wherever you get your podcast. And with
Or
that,
in your dreams.
that's right. Well, I'm sure everybody dreams of us every night. Joe and Tell once again is a collapsible segment. We are out of time. Our music is by Andy Samford of electricminnowmusic.com. You can follow us on Instagram at Audible Interlude Podcast. Be sure and check out our pinned stories for our Audible Interlude merchandise. Follow us on X at G.I. Joe Audible. And Kristian, one more time, what is that social media?
You can find me on Instagram under the name at Barbara Can't Drive.
Noel,
Or Lead the Cub.
Noel, why don't you tell us a little bit about The Finest?
The Finest is an international G.I. Joe costuming club that raises money for an amazing organization called Canines for Warriors. And of course, if you ever are at a show and you see us there, drop by, talk some Joe, put a few bucks in the coffers. You might walk out with some awesome swag. And if you ever want to learn about dressing up, you can also check out the Finest Recruitment Center on Facebook.
And if you happen to be at Joe Lanta, it's looking like Noel and I will be there Friday night, potentially, or maybe Saturday. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Guys, it has been awesome talking about G.I. Joe. I had a lot of fun doing the Joe Roulette. Everybody in the chat, thank you for hanging out. Thank you for helping us talk about G.I. Joe. And until next time, yo, Joe.
Cobra.
Pick it up, 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 pick it up.
Hit.